back to another Toxic Podcast. I'm Hannah, and I am so sick of having technical difficulties every time I try and record. And let me be so very clear, this has nothing to do with the studio that we're in. By we, I do mean myself, or any circumstances involving the equipment, except for maybe Mac. I do have a bone to pick with Apple because there are just so many things that change every single time. I have not had the same issue 2 times since we started this podcast in over a year ago. I just cannot, I don't know what's going on. Like I said, and I will continue to say until I am blue in the face, I am not Freddie Benson. I am not president of the AV Club. I don't know what I'm doing. Everything I learned about how to produce this podcast has been from trial and error or YouTube videos or excessive Googling. And I know that's not the most foolproof way to learn things, but it's not done me wrong so far, except for all of the times in which I have had a lack of knowledge. So my apologies. I got here to our lovely studio about 30 minutes ago, have my coffee. It's the day after Christmas. This episode will come out in about a week. But I came in, I'm in a great mood, ready to record. Everything's gonna be fantastic. And then we just have camera issues. It's like, I'm not gonna bore you with it, actually. If you're looking to produce a podcast, I will teach you everything I know, which is probably about 48% of what you actually need to know to produce a podcast. But I do know enough to get me this far because you're listening. So I hope everyone had a very wonderful, very Merry Christmas. I am flying solo again today. I want to reiterate, there's nothing wrong. Brie and I are just absolutely as in love as we have ever been. She's just so busy, and I'm sure any moms can relate to the stress of having young kids, and she still very much loves this podcast, as you heard in the last episode, and wants to be present and everything else, but it's just not the season of life where she can stick to it as consistently as we used to be able to without it causing her a significantly greater amount of stress. And that's the last thing that we want. So she's going to be in and out over the next couple months as we figure out the best way for her to balance all of this. So bear with me. If you are not loving the solo episodes, then I'm very sorry. You can skip. She will be in 2 out of the 4 every month. So those of you who are sticking with us, thank you so much. I always get so nervous before I record, even though it's just me alone in the studio. It's something about knowing that people are going to listen to this and the inability that I have to regulate what comes out of my mouth. And I know that while I'm editing, I can always cut things, but it just feels disingenuous. And it's not even that I feel like I'm going to say anything inappropriate or weird. It's just that I chat so much whenever I do these episodes. I always think I'm going to get 35 minutes. That's my goal. Let's just get into it. And then every single time I pause the recording or I stop it at like 58 minutes. And I'm like, oh, what did I say? What did I talk about for 58 minutes? And usually I do have an outline. Today I have a loose one. We were supposed to have a guest this morning, but it is cold and flu season. And unfortunately she was not able to make it, but she will be here in the future. And as far as guests go, it's not often that we have them. Obviously, as of you hearing this episode, you will have heard the past episode, which had my brother. And that one, I was not really sure if it would go over well. So hopefully, I mean, it hasn't released as of me recording it. So hopefully by the time it comes out, I will know that it was a smashing success and you guys loved it and listened to it. And it wasn't super far out of what we normally do, because I know it's usually a little chit chat for the girlies, and he is not one of the girlies, unfortunately. So hopefully you enjoyed that one, even though it's a little bit different than our normal content. We're not looking to really bring on a ton of guests just because I feel like it kind of takes away from the consistency and knowing what people can depend on every single week. But we do have a few guests that we want to bring on just to kind of show you into our little circle of the world. So all of that being said, it is the day after Christmas, like I mentioned. So I want to give you guys a little recap on what I was up to. So first and foremost, I feel like this has been the least holiday-esque season up to this point, and I have a few thoughts on that. So first of all, I understand that as we get older, the holiday season is just not going to feel as magical as it did when we were children. And that's to be expected, because whenever you're a child, you obviously, spoiler alert, believe in Santa, and you have all of these different reasons that Christmas is special. And, you look forward to being out of school, and there's activities, and everything is like tailored around Christmas. So whenever you get older, you don't stop working to do Christmas themed crafts, and you don't get to look forward to having a certain amount of time off. And it actually becomes the opposite, where you get a lot more on your plate and a lot more to juggle. And whether it's cooking for friends and family, or hosting, or buying gifts, or planning, or just coordinating the chaos of your family, there's always so much going on that it can feel the opposite of a magical time. And I, as you know, have been struggling with my own sadness and grief and everything else over the past few weeks. So I really struggled to pivot from extreme excitement to then grief to then the holidays. And I know that a lot of people have also struggled with that same inability to just feel the happiness that everyone seems to be feeling around us. So first of all, my heart goes out to you. We're all in this together. Even though it might not feel like it, there's so many of us that are walking through this exact same path and really just trying to do our best to get through the season. But it's not something that I feel like I've done okay, because I have made myself do several holiday things, and I've made myself, focus on the small things that make life beautiful and not just what I'm not experiencing, what I'm not having, and not wallow in that. And it's challenging to kind of put your feelings in a box whenever you need to feel them to move through them. I understand that. But at this point, I have the whole rest of the year to feel my feelings, and I only have a short amount of time to be with my family, and my brother's in town, and my grandparents are here. And, there's just so many things that I know are fleeting, and I don't want to pass that up just because I'm going through a hard time right now. So I really did my best to put all of that kind of in a corner of my heart instead of, the entire thing. And I'm proud of how I did. I think that I definitely could have done better, but, we're all human at the end of the day. So I enjoyed Christmas time. I had a wonderful past couple of days with friends and family, but I just have been like so inundated with work and everything else. Let me explain. This is going to make me sound so entitled and so like these are all first world problems, and I fully recognize that. But every single year since I've been with my husband, my in-laws, his parents, have taken us on a vacation. So usually it happens right after Christmas in January at some point. This year is the earliest that we're ever going to be going on vacation, which is 2 days from when I'm recording this. So we're leaving on Thursday the 28th, and that obviously we will be gone over New Year's and everything. So usually I have Christmas, and then I have a week to kind of decompress from that, come down from all the chaos, put our stuff away, put the decorations away, do everything that I need to do to feel like my head's back on straight, and then go on vacation. And all the girls know, you guys are all fully aware that there's so much preparation that goes into planning for a trip. Not just the packing, but figuring out what to do with your house when you're gone, and who's going to check your mail. And luckily I have family that lives in town. And what are you going to do? Are you getting a spray tan? Are you not? Are you getting your roots done? Are you not? Are you getting your nails done? Like, there's just so many things that, like I said, I know I sound entitled. So just make this blanket disclaimer that I know that these are all very first world problems, and there's worse things happening in the world than me prepping for a vacation. But it does weigh on you at some points. Whenever you're trying to plan for all those things, everything takes time. Everything costs money. I'm also trying to prepare for being away from my business for 10 days, which is the longest that I've ever taken off. Last year, I only took off 7. And I don't take time off during the year. So I work weekends, I work evenings, and it's sporadic. So if I want to go get my nails done or go have coffee with a friend during the work day, during the week, I will. But at the same time, that usually means that I'm trading off time in the evenings, or I'm working on the weekends, or whatever it happens to be. And that's just the nature of being a small business owner. And I wouldn't trade it, to be honest. So whenever it comes time to take off, then I always struggle because I need to plan to get everything scheduled and everything done in advance before I leave. And that's not unlike other businesses. This one, being social media, is just a little bit different because I have to prepare to get all of the posts created and then scheduled and make sure that they are exactly set to go out. And it's just difficult because everyone's thinking about the holidays, and it usually comes down to a flurry of activity right before I leave, because even if my clients are aware, then they're busy with their own things, and I might say, get this stuff to me by X date, but then the date comes and goes. They're with their families, and then I always end up with this like, oh, by the way, for all these things right before I leave. So I'm kind of anticipating that over the next couple days, as well as these goals that I've set for myself to get the Christmas decorations down. And that's not even that important to do. I know that they will be here whenever I get back. I'm not getting back in March. Like, I'm still going to be back in the middle of January. It's not that big of a deal. However, I hate coming home to a messy house or to more chaos. And I'm already going to be coming home with, a Mount Everest of laundry. So I would like to have fewer things that will occupy my attention and time whenever I get back, so I can kind of come back from a relaxing trip and not just immediately plunge myself into domestic stress. With that being said, I don't think I'm going to get it done. My plan as of this moment, and let me go back to what I was saying. That's one of the reasons I've been struggling the past couple weeks, on top of just emotional distress, is there are so many things to get done all the time, trying to prepare my work to be done, means that I'm working constantly, and then I feel guilty for working constantly because it's the holidays and I want to spend time with everyone. But then spending time with everyone, I'm like, am I really just blowing off my responsibilities because I want to have more coffee with my friends and spend time with my family? Yes, that's what life is all about. But at the same time, I'm very fortunate to have a job that has allowed me to live this lifestyle, and I don't want to squander it by just piddling around town having holiday beverages. So I've struggled with that. And then there's just so much to do. Like I have felt so out of sorts in my body. I've gone from just being in such a funk and not wanting to work out, which is very unusual for me. And I've told you before, I always listen to my body. So if I'm not feeling like working out, I just don't work out. And that's unusual enough for me because it is such a therapy and a stress relief that I can get by with just if I don't want to work out, I don't work out. And I usually still stay pretty regular just because of how much I do want to go to the gym or go for a run. And I went a whole week, and I know some of you are like, ooh, a whole week. But I went a whole week without working out, and that's usually whenever I start to like raise my eyebrow and I'm like, girl, what's going on? What's happening here? And I went for a jog, like a shorter little run, and it just didn't feel right. Like I'm just feeling not good. And I don't know if it's because of all the junk food I've been consuming. That's definitely a factor. Or if it's just because I'm not mentally there, if it's like seasonal depression just sneaking its little snaky talons into my body, or what's going on. But I felt a little bit better. But then, of course, right whenever I start to feel more like myself, then the holidays are here and then there's just too much time. And I've been consuming too many carbs and I just don't want to go to the gym at all. So all those things have just made me feel a little bit like flustered all at once, like a chicken with my head completely just cut off. So I don't know. If I translate that into the podcast today, which I know I probably am, then my apologies. I'm sure you're feeling the exact same way. Just know that we're all in this together. We're all feeling flustered. We're all struggling. So I got across the finish line, wrapped my last present on Christmas Eve. Everything was good to go. And it was fantastic. Austin and I are both fortunate to have both of our families present. So we can usually split time pretty easily without one person having to spend time away from their families. So we had a Christmas Eve party with his family. Then went to church on Christmas morning with mine. I had breakfast with my grandparents. They're fantastic and precious and beautiful. Then Christmas Eve, first half, part one, with my family. We left halfway through, went to his family, finished out the evening there, got home. Next day, Christmas morning, we spent it with my family, having presents and breakfast and everything, and had my grandparents back over for that one. Split halfway through the day, squeezed in a brief nap, which was my saving grace. Then went to his family's, and then we were there until late last night. So surprisingly, for holidays, we've had several late nights in a row, and I wouldn't have expected to have all of us be just raging into the evenings, but that's how the cookie crumbled. I'm sorry, I'm slap happy. The cookie crumbled in that way. So we've been up till midnight every single night, and on Christmas Eve, I did myself dirty because I finished a quart of Silver Flames, which my obsession has only grown for this series. And I know everyone told me that this would happen, but I read the first 3. And the first 3 are like their own storyline. Those were fantastic. I tore through those. Amazing. Then there's like a little novella in between that's like a little holiday special. That one was great. Then there's a last one that's told from a different character's perspective. And I was unsure because there's mixed reviews online if people enjoyed it or didn't like it, or if they recognize it as a part of the series and whatever. I was like, I'm so enamored with this whole universe and I'm already into it. I'm going to go ahead and read it. That one was my favorite one. So if you guys have read this series, I would love to discuss it. I am chomping at the bit. I've been all over Book Talk. I've been searching everything. I can finally like look at the spoilers on TikTok, but I want to talk about it with a real person. So A Quart of Silver Flames. Nesta is my homegirl. She's amazing. She did nothing wrong ever. That's not the truth. But anyways, I finished the book, stayed up too late, and I have been just running on fumes and caffeine and sugar, which is not too far from my normal state, but it's just been a lot. And then to turn around and have woken up this morning and immediately hit the ground running with a podcast, which I love podcasting. So these are never bad times for me, except for the technical difficulties. Those I could probably do without. But these are always such a blessing to do. And I have so much fun chatting. And I really do jot down notes all throughout the week to talk about. But I tailor them kind of for what I'm thinking. And then sometimes if it switches, then I might be a little bit less prepared. But it's fine. I'm just chatting with my girls. And honestly, since the episode that I released, that was very personal and very emotional, I have felt so much closer to our audience. And I'm not sure if that's something that you can feel through this audio experience, but having shared that and being so terrified and then turning around and having such a positive reaction and having people listen and really feel or tell me that they have felt closer to me or have worked through their own issues. And again, I want to release a whole separate episode on the response to that and how my emotional recovery has gone. But it has made me feel a lot closer, like I'm just talking to friends, even if I'm just sitting here on the couch by myself. So that makes me look forward to podcasting. And even if I might not sound like it, I do cherish the time that I sit here, and I'm flustered with life, but I'm never flustered with this podcast. It's a creative experience. It's fun. It's all of these good things. So thank you for listening, wherever you are. Also, if you're watching, I didn't do my hair this morning, not because of lack of time, just because of lack of motivation. I did a full face of makeup, put everything on, and then looked at my hair, and I had the curling iron plugged in. It was hot. And I was like, you know what? It's just not going to happen today. So it's up in this cute little clip. You'll see it's from Amazon. It looks like you just do put a little extra effort in because it has a bow, but I didn't. This is my natural hair that's been slept on twice in a row, and that's just the best that I can do today. My apologies. Also, I'm realizing that I need to branch out with my podcasting outfits because I seem to have a uniform every single time I record. I pick out baggy pants and a crew neck, and you know what? I'm not going to branch out because that's actually what I wear all the time. So I do have a different facet of my style that's more like, think like Rory Gilmore combined with Blair Waldorf combined with something from the Midwest. It's something like that, where there's like skirts and tights and vests and all of that, but it just doesn't bode well for sitting. Like I can't wear a skirt and then sit like this for an hour. So you understand where I'm coming from. But my whole outfit is thrift today, in case anyone's wondering. Where was I going with all of this? Anywho, 2 days. 2 days to prepare. And I had a hair appointment, and I ended up moving it to January because it was only 6 weeks since my last one, and I just didn't feel like it was necessary yet. So I bumped that one back. Shout out to my lovely hairstylist, Michaela. She's incredible. And I want to see her again. My roots are not that grown out, and I'm not ready to do that. And that did get me back a couple hours, which I think that I will, unfortunately, benefit from. So I have to get my nails done because they are grown out and they are dingy. And that's really about it. So I'm not doing all the trip preparations that I usually do. Usually I really romanticize traveling, and I make it this entire thing. Like I'll scour my Pinterest, craft the perfect vibe Pinterest board. I will have a spray tan, hair appointment, nail appointment, sometimes a facial, just because I am someone who loves the preparation and the anticipation even more than the trip sometimes. So knowing that it's coming, getting to do all the things to prepare for it, packing outfits, planning all that stuff usually is my jam. It's just the best thing ever. Almost to the point that when the trip comes, the good part has ended in my head. I don't know if anyone else experiences that, but the anticipation, in my opinion, is the best part. But since everything has been so chaotic with the holidays in the best way, I really haven't thought about it. So now that we leave in 2 days, I'm like, okay, what's important to me? Obviously, I already had the nail appointment. That is paramount. Also, I do have 2 black toenails, so I don't know what I'm going to do about that, but I cannot reveal my feet to the light of day in open-toed shoes until I remedy that issue. But I have so much work to do. I've gotten most of everything done, but there's just so many last-minute things, like setting your out of office, communicating with all clients, giving them a last-minute heads up that you're going to be gone, when you're going to be back, double-checking all the scheduling, have to edit this episode, and as of now, I haven't edited last week's episode with Evan yet, so I need to do that. And then I have this system. Let me explain. So when we bring home all of our Christmas stuff every year, we are very fortunate. Our families are very generous. We are more than spoiled during Christmas time. And we end up with a lot of stuff to unpack and to put away. And I'm sure it's so much worse for mothers, but you have tags to take off, laundry to do, so much cardboard to open. Everything is packaged like it's just a nuclear weapon. It's so strapped in. There's zip ties, there's plastic, everything is sealed. You risk maiming your hands every time you open something. It's a challenge. I don't know why, but I left everything, as I always do, in this giant pile in our closet. My stuff, Austin's stuff. He's so content to leave everything. If it were up to him, he would leave every Christmas gift that he got in the exact same pile on our floor until he has need or use for it. And then he would take it out. And if he doesn't have a use for it until November, it would stay on the floor. And that just doesn't fly with me. So I recognize that since that's my issue, I'm going to be the one to take care of it, because that's kind of my household philosophy as a wife, is that if it's something that matters to both of us, like if we both think that we value having clean dishes, that's both of our responsibility. But if it's something that just matters to me, like having the bed made when Austin could care less, I make the bed because that's a standard that I set above and beyond. So I don't know if that makes sense. That's kind of how I approach things. But with Christmas decorations, there's always so many things that need to get done. And usually I have a little bit more time to get everything away. So right now with the expedited timeline, I'm putting everything into military grade, regimented, scheduled, actionable items. So first priority is whenever I get home, I'm going to do my work because that's what I feel like I can focus on for the shortest amount of time, given that I'm just so flustered, which I've said, so I'm sounding like a broken record. I'm sorry. Everyone gets that I'm flustered. But I'm going to get all my work knocked out while the caffeine is flowing through my veins, get the work done. Then I'm going to use all my nervous energy from sitting around and channel that into a 2-phase approach. I'm going to start laundry. Then I'm going to take all the Christmas decorations down and put them in the spare room. It's just a big empty room. Sometimes I call it my studio because I have a big backdrop in there for when I need to shoot miscellaneous content. Take all the Christmas stuff down, not necessarily away, put it in the studio. Then I can go ahead and vacuum, clean everything, do all the surfaces. Once that's done, take all the Christmas decorations, because I also have a thing about not bringing new stuff into a dirty house, even if I go shopping. And my house doesn't get that dirty now that I'm grown and work from home, so not a super ongoing issue. But if I get a bunch of new clothes, I don't want to bring the new clothes into a dirty home. So I'll leave them in the bag until I feel like the house is clean enough to unpack them. Unusual? Yes. If anyone else has a similar qualm about that, then just let me know. But with Christmas decorations, it's like that times 10. So once the house is clean, then I can go through, I'll separate all of the gifts into different categories, usually by room. So bath bombs, face masks in the bathroom pile, clothes in the closet pile, blankets in the bedroom pile, things like that. You get the point. And from there, then I start the meticulous process of cutting tags off, peeling little price stickers off, doing all of that. It does take way longer, but usually I'll prop myself up with a little YouTube video, channel my inner iPad kid, and I'm good because it's busy work. It's monotonous, but it's not challenging. So I enjoy that part of it when I have the time. So once that stuff is all done, ready to be prepped and put into its new home, then I take the stuff and I move it to every room and I put it away. Then once all that stuff is done, I will start packing. I'm thinking that will be phase 2 and that will be tomorrow. As I'm saying all this, I'm realizing how challenging it might be to get all this done, but that's okay. What is life without a little challenge? Again, first world problems, baby, but that's okay. So once I have everything done, I feel like I'll be able to switch into vacation mentality. And I really do try and get everything done because it gives me peace of mind, even if all of my chaos is completely self-inflicted and none of these things really need to get done. The world will not end if I just leave everything in a pile and leave the Christmas decorations up and do everything whenever I return. That's not going to really rock the world at all. But it would make me feel better. And I know that whenever I have all of that done, it will allow me to quiet my mind a little bit and then go on this trip. And one of the reasons that I love going on cruises is actually not even related to a cruise whatsoever. It's the lack of cell phone service. And coincidentally, that's what stresses me out the most beforehand, is because I know that I'm going to have no communication with anyone. So as far as work is concerned, I have to really over communicate prior to leaving. And when I'm gone, it just takes this whole wave of peace and just washes it over you. Because even if I'm taking time off or I'm having an afternoon off or anything else, then there's always the chance that someone could call or someone could text or something might not post and then I know about it. So having the knowledge that I'm not going to receive a single text for 9 days is the most serendipitous thing. Of course, I miss texting my friends and family, and surprisingly enough, I don't really miss Instagram. I love it, and I'm still taking photos and doing my thing on that side of it, but I really don't miss scrolling. It's almost like that's the one place that habit just is perpetually broken. So that's the thing I'm looking most forward to. I also have a bunch of new books that I'm going to read, so I'm trying to knock out the Crescent City series, and then maybe I'll start the Throne of Glass series. I have so many books that I think that my suitcase might be overweight. I'm saying that as if I've packed. I fear that my suitcase might be overweight once I put all of these books into it. But I really am not super keen on the tropical vacation this year. Last year I was super pumped for it, but last year I felt a little bit more confident than I do this year. And it's not even oh my gosh, I've been eating so bad, I don't want to wear a swimsuit. It's not that. I just, you know how you have those times in your life where you just don't feel pretty? And it fully comes and goes. It's one of those things that this week I feel so hideous and so gross and I don't want to look at myself. And I'm like, what is wrong with me? I need a nose job. I need X, Y, and Z. This is the worst. I'm never leaving my house. Give it 2 weeks. I'll be taking 1,000 selfies and being like, oh my gosh, I love myself. This is fantastic. I'm God's gift to the world. Those are both slight exaggerations, but you know how it is. And it's almost like those things, it all happens to line up with like, for me, it was Christmas. So I was wearing this outfit that I had in my head and I was like, it's gonna be so cute. I can't wait to wear it. Then the day comes and my hair is like slightly too dirty, but I didn't wash it. And then I'm like, did my makeup slightly too pale. And then I just didn't like my lip color, but it was too late to change all of it. So I had to commit to it. And it was one of those, like, just everything is not laying quite right. I did my strip lashes. They were hanging on like slightly too low. So my eyes looked super downturned. And I was like, this is why I don't wear these things anymore because I can't do them. And all that just added up to me being like, I'm just straight up not feeling my best lately. And I know a lot of it is that I used to spray tan every single week. I used to have my hair very light, like blondish, darker roots, you know, because your girl can't keep up with everything, but blonde hair, strip lashes every day. Like I just did different things with myself and it made me feel more confident. And I have wanted to switch to being more natural and I am, and I'm not spray tanning and I have my hair very close to my natural and all of these things. I'm still getting my nails done. I'm still getting Botox, but listen, I'm not perfect. But I'm making an effort to keep things closer to my natural look, like the way that I am, partly just because it's a lot of work to keep that up, like to be exfoliating and spray tanning and doing everything every single week and dyeing your hair. It's not good for it whenever you're bleaching it all the time. But part of it is just because I don't want to have all of these things required for me to feel pretty. I'd rather be like, this is just how it is. And if I ever chose to stop dyeing my hair altogether or everything else, then it's not this crazy shock where I only feel pretty a certain way. So I've been doing my very best to be okay with just how I am and all of the things that I am changing anyways, but still. But it's just difficult. And sometimes I look back at pictures of myself whenever I was very tan with light hair and I'm like, oh, why did I stop doing that? And I almost make like an impulsive appointment just to bleach my hair right then and go get a spray tan. And it just doesn't, I don't know, it's so superficial, but those things do affect like how you go out into the world and how you feel about yourself and how you communicate with others based on just the way that you, I guess, feel that you look to them. Or I don't know, it's not even that. It's not even about how I feel like I look better so then I perform better in life. But you just have a little bit more of like an ease to you when you feel confident versus whenever I'm not feeling as confident, I'm more in my head and I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, is my hair doing this? Like what's going on? Is my makeup looking bad? I look like just all these things. And it takes you out of the moment and prevents you from enjoying it as much as you should. So that's one thing I've kind of been wrestling with. And I know that's a complete girl thing. And I apologize for making this episode so shallow, for lack of a better word. But it's just all the stuff I've been, it's been rattling around in my melon the past couple days. And I know it will pass. So that's the main thing I keep hanging on to, is that every time I go through these moments where I feel so just something has got to give. Like I need to start doing something. I got to spray tan again. I have to fix this. Then I'm like, just hang on. This always happens. You always feel so bleh. And then, a couple days or weeks pass and everything is back to normal. So I'm sticking it out, even though I might not love it at the moment. But, this is not like a fish for compliments thing. Like there's no need to, everyone's very, very kind. But you know how it is. No matter how many people say, oh my gosh, no, you look so good. It's not that. It's the fact, like my brain tells me whenever I see myself in the mirror that is not the case. So unfortunately, no amount of compliments from Austin or my mother or anyone that I know otherwise will assist with this. This is one of those things I'm just going to have to trudge through and hopefully it'll switch around. But also everyone feels ugly in the winter. That's fine. You cannot compare your winter self to your summer self. It's just not realistic and you will not be pleased. So don't be like me and look at photos of yourself from mid-June and wonder why you have fallen so far. Anyways, that was a dark little detour. So I have, with all of this going through my head, you would think the one productive thing that I could have been thinking about is New Year's resolutions. And I have thought about them enough to know that I don't want to set the same kind that I normally do. And we are going to do a full episode on New Year's and resolutions and reflections and everything, just because I want to do that one with Bree. So I'm not going to get super in depth today. But every year I make a mood board for the year to come. And I set goals and intentions and do all of these things. And I really throw myself into it. And I am a very quantifiable goal person. So I want things that are measurable. I want things that are, what is the thing that like elementary school teachers would say? Like, set SMART goals. Something measurable, attainable, realistic, something. I don't know. Set SMART goals. But this year, I almost want to do the opposite, set dumb goals, if you will, because everything that I feel like I always do is go to the gym X number of times per week. I want to increase my business by this percentage. I want to add 3 new clients every month. I want to do, like, it's all very cut and dry, and it's good. And I do set fulfilling goals to an extent, because I'll say things like I want to read more, or I want to do, more meditation. But it's all things that almost put you in this rigid routine of trying to make yourself better. And that has served me so well for several years. But I want it to be different this year, in that I feel like I've accomplished a lot of things this year that I really am proud of and really wanted to do professionally and in my life. And I almost feel like I'm changing my trajectory, like feeling like my life was about to change and our family was about to grow, and hopefully it still will in the somewhat near future. But that really shook me, and all of my priorities changed so quickly that I'm having a very hard time actively switching back. So I have always been a very performance-oriented person. My grades have always mattered to me back in school. Like, I'm a perfectionist through and through. Everything has just been, like, I can tell you that I'm good because look at how well I do at these things. And I never thought that that would switch for me, because that's how I've been for so long. But thinking that I'm about to become a mom and these things are about to change, that really snapped everything into a different galaxy, to where I was like, I don't care. Actually, I don't care how much money I make. I don't care what I do. I don't care what my reputation is to clients. I don't care if I'm just this powerhouse businesswoman. I don't care what happens. I just want to be a good mom. And that is something that I feel like if you would have told me a few years ago, whenever I was a little bit less mature and less confident in myself and was really relying on my accomplishments to give me purpose and to give me validation, I would have scoffed at myself and been like, what happened to you? That is embarrassing. You always need to have a career. You need to have all of this going for you. You don't need to ever think about giving any of that up. And, things just change, and God has a funny way of changing you whenever circumstances arise that you thought you were ready for. And honestly, I feel like I couldn't have foreseen that change within me, but now that it's happened, I really just can't pivot back. So as much as I still love my clients, I'm still very passionate about the work that I do, it just doesn't have that number one spot in my heart anymore. And I think that's okay, because I don't think that my life has, completely lost the momentum towards starting a family. I don't think it's going to happen as soon as obviously it was. And I just think that I'm going to take some time to recover and prepare and just heal before we start to try again. Not that anyone really cares about that, but even if it's not as imminent as it was, I know that that's still the direction that I want our family to go, and so does Austin. With that being said, I still have a company and a business to run, and it's very difficult whenever you just don't, I feel very disconnected from that part of myself that is, I could always depend on that fire to kind of keep me going and propelling. And now it's almost like if I'm like a train, there's just no coal left, and I'm going on momentum right now, and I know what to do and I know what steps to take. And I don't know if going on, a little hiatus and a vacation is going to help me recharge and zone back in, or if that's just not something that I'm going to be able to recapture. And, I know that a lot of people don't have the luxury of being passionate about their work, and that's why I'm not really worried, because I have had jobs before that I excelled at that I was not passionate about, because you just work hard. That's just how you're supposed to be. Jobs would not be jobs if we loved them. They would be hobbies or passions or something else. And to have had a job that I'm so passionate about for the past several years has been the biggest blessing. And if that passion never comes back, that's okay. I will still continue to work my absolute hardest to provide the best value for my clients and do what I need to do to give them their money's worth. But it is strange to feel like something that I've always felt, like this just ball of motivation inside of me, is like just fizzling out. And it's not even in a depressing way where I'm like, screw that, I don't care about anything, I don't care about this. It's just like that I'm drawn to other things. Like, I still feel as alive and as I guess, as strongly towards life, just not necessarily my career part of life. So as I'm approaching the new year and looking to set more goals, then I'm trying to think of things that maybe I haven't given myself permission to strive for in the past. So just different things that aren't necessarily growing my income, fitness milestones, things that we all try and do to be productive, but things that allow me to develop that part of my mind and soul. And I don't have any good examples even because it's more of me concepting this and giving myself permission, because even so, I used to judge other people for having those things. Like, I want to slow down this next year. I want to do this next year. And I'm like, come on, get real. Like, you're just being lazy. And that's how I genuinely felt. And now I'm just in this place where I'm like, okay, I was just short-sighted. I just didn't see how there can be so much value in other things besides your professional accomplishments and, you know, your physical physique or your fitness or anything else that's going on. And those things still matter. And I think that if you're in that place where you want to, you know, full steam ahead, work on your fitness, work on your career, work on your education, whatever that is, that's amazing. It's just, I was in that stage for so long. And I guess I thought that that was who I am, not where I was in life. And now I'm realizing that's exactly what it was. It was purely where I was in that season of life, in that mindset. And now I'm like on the other side of that, which is very strange. And I'm still navigating how to be in my head now that in my head has changed. So I think that I'm going to do what I did last year, which is take January as a whole as a time to reflect on the past year. It's a slow month anyways, where none of us are really, you know, getting out of our house. We're all kind of recovering from the social season of the holidays, and there's just a lot going on, there's not a lot going on. So I think that it's a good time to pause, and there's no reason to try and start your resolution right away. I think that everyone tries to act like coming out of the gate super strong is the noble thing or the impressive thing or what you need to do to keep your resolutions, but it's cold, it's bleak, everyone's broke, we're recovering from all this stuff. I think January is the perfect time to just hunker down, reflect, be gentle with yourself, figure out what resolutions you can really stick with, what's going to be sustainable. Even if you are starting those intense resolutions, then figure out what routine with the gym is going to best suit your future and how you can stick with it. And if you're working towards professional goals, then use January to create a plan versus just going full steam into it. So I think it makes it more likely that you'll stick with your goals and that you'll accomplish them if you give yourself that time to really plan and prepare and be strategic about everything versus just trying to start on January 1st and jump right into it, because you'll burn out and you'll get tired, and that's just the unfortunate reality of being a person. So I'm going to do that this year. It served me fantastic last year, being able to have that time. And even if my resolutions were different for 2023 than they will be for next year, then it did allow me to be more introspective and think about why I was setting them. Am I just setting these goals because I feel like this is the kind of goal that I should be setting because I'm a self-proclaimed perfectionist and I'm highly motivated and I'm doing all these things and I have to have the resolutions to back that. And there's almost some vanity in your resolutions because you want to be that person that says, I'm going to run a half marathon this year. I'm going to do this and that, because you want to your goals are almost like another means to boast. And I just don't want that this year. Like if my resolution is to be more okay with taking naps and not feeling guilty every time I take a nap, that's a great resolution because that's a very hard thing for me. So it's still a challenge, even if it sounds like I'm just like taking a cop-out avenue or being very lazy, then that's something that I struggle with and I want to overcome it. And why is that any different than another challenge that someone sets that incentivizes them to work more or to be, more aggressive, whenever for me the challenge is to take my foot off the gas. So it's just as difficult as other things in the past have been for me, even if it sounds completely counterintuitive. So I hope that makes sense. I'm setting goals and working on resolutions that will help me explore my creative side, find more beauty in life, be more at peace with myself, get closer to God, get closer to my friends, and just find more contentment. And I think that that's also something that I've struggled with quite a bit, is that there's always another cliff or another mountain to climb in search of contentment. There's always more income that I could be getting every month. There's always another client. There's always another accolade or award that you want to get. There's always another project that I want to tackle. And I always kind of envision contentment as like this summit that I'm going to one day get to. And if I can just keep setting the right goals and climbing and pursuing that, then eventually I'll ascend to the summit and I will just have reached contentment. But I think that that's the wrong way of looking at it. And it's more of like contentment should be your traveling companion. Like it's not something that you never have and you work towards and you finally get. I want contentment to be with me, whether I'm climbing towards this goal or I'm kind of in a valley or I'm walking through, a difficult season or a happy season, like whatever's going on. I want contentment to be present in my life. And I think it's just difficult. It's difficult to remind yourself that that's okay and to remember that and to be content in all circumstances. And, I've had some difficult things happen this year. And if anything, that has helped me realize that contentment is something that you can find in the midst of all of that. It's not just whenever I'm, thin and life is good and business is booming and I'm laying out by the pool. That's not the only time that you can find contentment. And that's just something that I really want to focus on, disciplining myself and challenging myself to practice. So I hope that really makes sense. I'm looking forward to New Year's, and I think that 2024 is going to be an amazing year. And I do have a lot of things that I would like to accomplish, but it's more of it really is full of ideas and things that fulfill me creatively. And as strange as that is, I have found like a renewed passion for making videos and silly things. And I know that that's something that if you don't have a passion for it, you're like, what's the point? Why do these things make you happy? But it's just like anything. Everyone has these little hobbies and has things that make them feel alive and excited. And I love concepting a video and envisioning it in my head and then filming it and editing it and getting to share it. But for a long time, I would make these videos, even when I was pretty active on Instagram over the past couple of years, and just not post them because I'm like, well, no one cares. Like I made that for me because I thought it'd be cool and I wanted to practice editing it, or I wanted to practice seeing how I would put that together. So I have so many videos that have just died in the graveyard of my camera roll. And I don't know what happened, but somehow over the past few months, that care has just gone out the window. And you can tell, most likely if you're looking at my content, where it just starts to get weirder and weirder and things like are not on trend. And it started off with audios. And let me explain. Everyone has seen those Instagram or TikTok gurus where it's like, use this trending sound, it only has 4,000 views and it's making overnight viral sensations. And for a long time, I would eat that up and I would only use trending audios and I would only follow like, okay, your video has to be between 7 and 8 seconds, like whatever. And it was inhibiting my content and how I wanted to post it because I'm like, well, I want to post this video, but it's 38 seconds. And, these TikTok creators say that it should only be 17 seconds, whatever it is. So I was following all those guidelines, but then at the end of the day, I'm like, well, I'm not really trying to go viral. I mean, if it happens, that would be incredible. But my life goal isn't to be an Instagram or an influencer or a YouTuber or anything like that. So why am I tailoring all of my content to those things? But then still nobody wants like the ego smack of getting 0 views or 0 likes or whatever it is. So I kept kind of adhering to those rules. And then eventually I was like, I don't want to use a trending audio. All of these are annoying and I don't like any of them. So I'm just going to pick one of my favorite songs. And I picked one of my favorite songs at the time to use as the audio. And the video did not perform as well, but I didn't care because I like to rewatch it because it's not an annoying audio that just happened to be trending that week. It's a song that I actually like over content that I created. And it made the whole experience better. The whole thing. The result was something that I was more proud of and wanted to rewatch again. And I did, on loop, several times. So it started off that way. And then I started to do that more and more and more. Like first it's the audio and then it's the editing style and then it's the trend. And then I started to make different things. Like the video I made of main character moments wasn't a trend that I saw. It was just something I thought would be funny. And then I made it and I loved it. And I rewatch it more than I would like to admit. And then obviously those superhero videos that I started doing around Halloween, I never really intended to post those. I just wanted to see if I could practice like with the visual effects and see if I could tackle it because I thought it would be cool. And then I liked it and I was like, who cares? I'll post it. Some of them performed great. Some performed subpar. And either way, I don't care. I probably account for half of those views because I watch it all the time because I'm proud of it and I like it. And even though now I can look back and be like, I could have cut that better. I could have done this and critique my own editing. It was still so fun to do. And it's given me this freedom to like express myself more in a platform that was meant for personal expression, but has been commandeered by this whole idea that we all need to tailor our content and our strategy because we have been fed this narrative that we need to all go viral or we need to all be influencers or everything else. And maybe I'm in the minority and thinking that that's the pressure that's on everyone is to go viral and that we all want to have this and we all want to do brand deals. And that's not my goal. I think that stuff is very cool, but at the same time, I have so much more fun making content that I want to make and playing around with videos and posting them than I do trying to recreate a certain photo or a certain TikTok, because that's the formula for virality. Maybe I'm preaching to an empty room, but that's how I feel. So that's the whole tone for how I want to approach the next year. I'm going on this vacation, like I said, and I want to reflect, bringing my journal. I'm bringing my little sketch pad, which I've recently gotten back into. All of these things just to kind of embrace that part of my soul. This is going to sound so... It's fine. I know this is going to sound very like moonchild hippie of me, and I don't care. I want to embrace that part of my soul that has been repressed and dormant for so long because I've been so focused on my career and my business and everything else that did fulfill me. And it wasn't like I was doing that at the expense of my happiness, because I loved all of that at the time. But in doing so, in favoring that part of my personality, I feel like I really neglected the other part. And that's a part that, got me through all of my childhood and helped me figure out who I am and express myself and create things and, I don't know, just relate to the world. And that part has kind of sat ignored for a long time, and that makes me sad. But I know that both of those parts of me had to coexist to get me to where I am, and I love the life that I'm currently living. I love the people around me, and none of that would be possible without my business and my professional passions and work and all of that stuff. So I don't want to discredit that. Work is not evil. Work is not, it's not non-creative. It doesn't suck the life out of you unless you let it. So I'm very appreciative of that part of my life, and it's not like it's ending. I'm still going to keep working. It's just that there's a very, very intentional shift in my mind from kind of waking up and focusing on work as the most important part of the day, and then the time around work and the evenings as auxiliary extra time. And then now focusing on there's my life, and while I'm living my life, part of that time is dedicated to work. I hope that makes sense. So that's the shift that I'm looking forward to in the next year. And I will keep you guys posted. And I know that I was like, I'm not going to talk about it. And then I went in for 30 minutes, but there are more specific goals that I'm going to bring. I know Brie has some that she wants to share. And I also do want to reflect on 2023 as a whole year, because there's been a lot of things that have happened. And if you're looking for another New Year's episode, we released one last year around, obviously, the exact same time, that detailed all of our resolutions for this year and everything that we wanted to accomplish. So if you are looking for some motivating, chit-chatty New Year's content, go back and listen to that one. And the next episode that we release will be, I believe, Brie and myself talking about all of our goals and resolutions for the upcoming year, as well as looking back on 2023 and our favorite moments. Sorry, guys. We really started off kind of shallow, kind of fun, just giggly, and then we really went deep there for a little bit, but that's okay. That's just how coffee dates kind of go, and this is exactly what we're doing. So I think that that's pretty much all that I had to talk about. Like I said, just a mere 48 minutes of talking to myself, but I am very appreciative of every single person that listens, and the idea that people and friends are listening to these episodes while they get ready or while they clean the house or while they drive around, those are just my favorite things in the world. So I hope that wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I hope that you had a wonderful Christmas and that you're preparing for New Year's and that you are not covered in paper cuts from opening gifts, that your kids aren't sick, that you're not sick. I hope that you are feeling nothing but contentment and joy and excitement for the next year. And I cannot wait to talk to you about the goals. And I'm looking forward to podcasting with lovely Brianna very soon. And thank you for listening. I love you guys. Bye.